Okay, so having a look at number formats. By default, we go to say L1 on our Excel spreadsheet. Our default format is general number format, and that is what we will use most of the time when we are working with Excel sheets. But from time to time, we may need to have specific number formatting for different functions and to ensure that our formulas are calculated correctly. And not only that, it also makes it easier for us to be able to read the information on the screen and within our Excel sheets, especially when we have many columns and many rows of information. All right, so our number formatting, we will simply type it in. So let's go again with this one over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, for instance. All right, by default, it does not put in commas, it does not separate the thousands, and even if I were to put in a comma with a zero decimal, such as that, 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 0, Excel will automatically take away the 0. Right. Another thing that you need to notice about general is that when you start any number with a 0, Excel will not recognize the 0 and will remove it. So 071, enter. When I click on the cell again, you'll see that it's been removed from the content that you can see within the cell, and it has, if you look in the formula bar, also been removed over there. Right, if you want to show your 0 over there, you're going to have to change it to a different format, and we will get to that just now. Moving on, we have our number format. All right, so to get to our formatting, to be able to change our formats for our selected cells, either a range or an entire column. Okay, and a range could also go across multiple rows and multiple columns. As soon as my document decides to work with me, wait, okay, there we go. That is also a range. There's a horizontal and there's a vertical. Just a quick refresher there. So let's take our entire column. There's two ways to do it. You can come here to your numbers group under your home tab, and you can click on the number format block at the bottom right hand corner, and I'll open it up, and then select number format. You can choose whether or not you want decimal places, so you can increase them, you can decrease them. It gives you previews over here, and you can choose whether or not to use the thousand separator. All right, so there we go. So if I were to type in numbers over here, 4, 5, 6, 7, and enter without putting in any decimals, it will automatically put in comma 0, 0. If I were to change that, 4567.89, obviously it will do it like that as well. The same will work with your general. If I were to put in anything besides zeros after my comma, if I were to go 1, 2, 3, 4.01, for instance, it would also keep it. The only time it takes it away is if it's just zeros thereafter. All right. Next is our currency. So currency and accounting may look very similar. The big difference is that with currency, the currency that has been selected will be right next to the numbers, whereas with accounting, the currency selected will be to the left of the cell. Okay. Again, to get to that, you can come to numbers, or you can simply right click and say format cells. Select your currency, select how many decimal places you want. Select your currency if you want. If you don't want a currency, you can say none. I won't put any up there, but it'll still keep the rest of the formatting, and it by default automatically separates your thousands. So we go okay, and here's an example: 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and enter. Let's just make that bigger for the purpose of this, and you can see every thousand is gone and it's separated over there. My currency is over there, and it's automatically put in my two decimal places that I requested. All right. Accounting works pretty much the same. So let's go down, format cells, choose accounting. The big difference over here is that it does not give you a preview. It does give you the option for two decimal places and your symbol, just like your currency. All right. And as you can see, your currency is on the left-hand side compared to your currency being next to the numbers over there. The big difference with currency and accounting is when you put in a zero value. So 0 under currency will give me 0, 0,00. 0 under accounting will give me a dash. But when I look in the formula bar, they are both still identical. All right. And then we have our date formats. So date formats is right click on format. All right. And we have different date formats that's available over here. The top one with the asterisk is our default date value. And then we can change it to show the day, the date, the month, and the year. And we have a couple other different formats available over here. So let's first go with this default one. All right, and say, okay. So there you'll see it's 260504, 260505. What's nice about Excel, unlike Google Sheets, is that I don't have to type out the full date. I can just go in, type in the year, backslash, the month without the 0, backslash, the date without the 0, like 06 or 07. And if I hit enter, it will automatically fill in the rest for me over there. And you'll see that in my formula bar, it has gone and fill in the proper format over there. Right, one thing that you must know about dates is if you type in noon, that's just the word, noon. Excel doesn't understand that. All right, that's more with your times than that. If you type in January 1st, well, that's just text for Excel. It doesn't understand that's the 1st of January. You need to type it in the correct format. Okay. So let's get rid of those. Then let's have a look at a couple of other formats that you can put it in that makes them maybe a little bit more visually appealing and easier to read. So we'll start with 14 March 2012. Okay, so date. That's just a simple demonstration of what it'll look like. So, okay, and there we go. Now I've got 4 May 2026 and 5 May 2026. Let's say we want to have the day in as well, the day of the week. Let's go back to format cells. Let's choose the second one, where it has the day, the date, month, then year, and say, okay. Now, obviously, I don't have enough space there, so I'm just going to double click to autofill, and now I have my days over there. Alrighty. With your time format, by default, when you type in a time, it's first formatted to a time. So we go into our format cells, and we got time. Your default one at the top is the one with the asterisks. All right. You can choose to have it with AMs and PMs, or you can just have your standard one over there. Okay. Your time always, or by default, puts in the seconds as well. So if I were to say 11 o'clock, I was going to put in the seconds over there. If you don't want the seconds inside there, if you don't add seconds, it's going to make them zeros. If you don't want the seconds in there, I'm going to show you shortly how to do a custom one for your time, as well as a custom one for your date. Right, now percentage. Your percentage is a tricky one, all right? Because Excel is set up to work with decimals and turn decimals into percentages, every time you type in text and you change it to percentage afterwards, it's going to multiply it by 100. So at the moment, it's currently in percentage format. I'm just going to change it to a general. All right, let's double check that those are general. Yes. And let's put in 30. Now, because it's under percentage, we can assume that that's 30%. Right, but what if I were to go and format that as a percentage? So let's go to our format, move it across, go down to percentage, and you can see my sample over there is really saying to me 3,000. And let's say I want to keep the decimal places for now. Right, so if I say okay, now I've got 3,000. Now I need to go and type that in again to get it correct. So I have to type in 30. But that is not effective if I have hundreds of rows of numbers already inside there. So when working with percentage, best practice is to go and first format your column or your selected cells into the percentage format before going ahead and adding in your numbers over there. So let's go to format, format cells, percentage. Let's keep the decimal places. So, okay. And now if I type in my 30, you'll see that it'll automatically put a percentage sign behind over there. All righty. If you don't do it that way, let's take that back to general. Okay. And you're not sure if you're going to be changing that to the percentage thing afterwards, you could always type it in as a decimal to start with. So 0 0.3 for 30%. If I were to change that to percentage now, format my cells, change that to percentage, okay, it's going to multiply that by 100. So the 3 is going to move up 2 spaces to 30. And there we go. Now I have 30%. Alternatively, you could also type in 30 and the percent sign. That's above your number 5 on the keyboard. And enter. Now if I click back on that 30%, before it was a general number format, and Microsoft Excel is intuitive and has gone and said, okay, well, you want to work with a percentage on that cell, so I'm going to change it to the percentage format for you over there. All right. But if you've got a whole column of them, of numbers that you need to put in, it is recommended that you go and you format it to percentage beforehand, just to make your life a lot easier. All righty. Right, now we get into the text section. All right, before I mentioned that if I type something in with a 0 beforehand, Excel would take away the 0, okay, because it doesn't recognize it. So we have different options available over here. So let's first start off by putting this back to general. Hold on, let's just take all of it, turn back to general. And let's try that again. So 071, not working. So let's go and format the column as text. And we say okay. Right, but it's still not making any difference. My 0 is still gone because Excel has already formatted it once before. So if you know you're going to be working with a column with cell phone numbers or possibly ID numbers or things that might start with a 0 that you are not going to calculate, then you will convert them to a text format. So now that I've converted all my columns, all my cells in this column to text, and I type in 071 again, now it's going to keep it. You'll see that there's a little green triangle at the top over there. So I'm going to click back on my cell. It's going to give me like a little warning. And it's going to say, this number is stored as text. What do I want to do? Do I want to convert it to number? No, because I want the 0 there. And I'm not going to be adding it to any formulas. Do I need help in this area? If you think you do, you can make use of that. But we've done this intentionally because we want the 0 over there. I can ignore it, I can edit in the formula bar, or I can do my error checking options. Because I intentionally want it as text, even though it's numbers, so that I can have the 0 in there, I'm going to ignore this error to get rid of that. Now, you don't have to do that with every single one of them. You could simply just leave that and just carry on. It won't show up when you print your document out. So that is one option over there. So let's take this and let's turn it back to general. Okay. And delete that one over there. Right. So the first option was to format into text. The other option is to use a single quotation mark, as you can see over there. And if you look in the formula bar, single quotation mark and 071 and enter. Right, and there it is. Now it's working. Let's get rid of that and take it back to text. I want to show you what Excel does automatically when it formats numbers as text. So if I type in the 071 over there, I come back up, have a look at the formula bar at the top over here. You'll see that it's by default gone and put in the single quotation mark for you. So that can save you a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of rows with numbers starting with a 0 in there. All right. moving on to the custom date. All right. So we have our custom dates available over here. As you can see, the date has been typed in. If you look at the formula bar, the date has been typed in the correct format. So that is the 4th of January 2026. All right. But it's saying Sunday, 4 Jan 2026. So there's two ways to get to that. Is one, formatting it in the relevant date format, or two, going to a custom format. So let's select our column, come down to format cells, the very last category, custom. You'll see that I've put in, let me move this to the side of here, DDDD, because I wanted to spell out the full name of the day. So you only have to put in 4 Ds over there. All right. If I were to take away 1 D, I'll show you the difference over here. Now it'll only give me the first 3 letters over there. All right. So I want the full name in. So I'll put my 4th D back, space, so I can have space between my Sunday and my date. 2 Ds will give me the numeric value for the date, so 04. 4 M's will give me the full month, whereas 3 M's, if I show you this quickly over here, 3 M's will only give me the first 3 letters. All right, let's go back to my format and let's add my M back so that you can see the full formatting over here. And then the 4 Y's will give me the full year, 2026. If I were to take 2 of them away, it would only say 26 at the end over there. So 26. So let me show you how you can format this a little bit. So let's go and take 1 D away from the 4 Ds, 1 M away from the 4 M's, and we leave it at 2 Y's. And say, okay. So now I've got Sun 04 Jan 26. So that is how you can go ahead and you can customize your dates over there. Whether you want the full names or just the shortened versions, depending on how many D's or M's or Y's that you add in to your custom over there. Another option that you have, okay, is I could say, let's clear that. I could say Y. Instead of the backslash, I want a dash for my month dash DD. So if I just put in 2 M's, it's going to give me the numeric value of the month, which will be, in this case, 01. And the numeric value of my day, which in this case will be 04. Instead of the backslashes, I now have my dashes. And there we go. So that's what you use the custom for with regards to date. With your time, you also have the option to customize your time. So let's go to format. And let's see the custom formatting that's currently in there. That's still showing it. Right, so if we come down, we can change the general. We'll select general under type. Backspace, just to clear that. And I'm going to say HH colon MM. All right, and say okay. And there we go. Now I've got my time, 22:48. If you look at my formula bar, it says 22:48 and 0 seconds, but it's not displaying the 0 seconds because I haven't asked it to do that. If I wanted it to show the 0 seconds under custom formatting, I would go and put in another colon after my M and put in SS. And let's just say okay there. Now you can see the seconds over there. There are other options with custom formatting for dates, where I can do this. Let's take that away, space, and I can go, what was it? AM, there it is. It's already showing it there for me. AM, PM. There we go. Let's click on that, and let's say okay. So now saying 10:48 PM, but take my time. Now remember, when you are working with time, you don't use 1 to 12 for morning, 1 to 12 for afternoon. You use the international time to type in. So that's 1 to 24. All right, so if I wanted 10 in the morning, I would have to take away the 22 and add in 10, and I'll say 10:48 a.m. Alrighty, so that is your number formats. Moving on, whoops. By default, depending on how your Excel is set up, some Excel workbooks will start with one sheet, some will start with two or three. I personally went and set mine up so that I only have one worksheet to start with at a time. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a worksheet in. So next to your worksheet is a plus button. Simply click on that and you have a second worksheet. And the more you click, the more that's added there. Right, then you can simply go and click on any of them to be able to start working on the worksheets. You can also take your worksheets and you can move them around. Now, there's different ways in which you can do that. You can click on a worksheet and you'll see a little black upside down arrow appear to the left of it, and you can drag it. Okay, and where that arrow is pointing is where the worksheet will be placed. So if I move it all the way to the end of here with the little black arrow, black triangle, and I let go, now my sheet 1 is all the way at the end, and I can move it in between, or I can move it back to the beginning. You can also right click, come up to move or copy, and you'll select the book in which you want to work. At this moment, we just got this Excel worksheet open, this workbook open. So it's going to stay on book 1. If you look at the top over here, under the name of the book, it's book 1. Right, and where do I want it to be? Before worksheet 3. I just want to move it before worksheet 3. And say okay. So there we go. So now 2, 1, and then sheet 1 is before worksheet 3. All right there. That is moving your worksheets around. You can also copy a worksheet. Again, select the worksheet that you want to copy. There's two different ways in which you can do it. I can come up between my columns and my rows, and I can select over there, which will select my entire worksheet. Copy on my home tab, go to a sheet, again, select the whole worksheet and paste it. And there we go, copy it across. But there is a different way in which you can do it. Instead of having to create a new sheet and then copy everything across, you can simply come to the worksheet that you want to copy, right click, say move or copy. Where do I want to go to? I want to make a copy and I want to move it to the end. All right. So in my workbook, I want to move it to the end and I want to create a copy of this specific worksheet and say, okay. And there we go. So my original is called sheet 1. My copy is called sheet 1 and in brackets 2. So there's my copy. So there we go. And I got exact copies, an exact copy of that worksheet with all the formatting, all the formulas, everything that's inside of there. All right. So that is your two different ways in which you can copy worksheets and move worksheets around. All right. So now I've got a whole bunch of worksheets and I've got information on most of them. And I need to start naming them so that it's easier for me to find my information, especially when I have multiple worksheets within my workbook. All right, so each one of these tabs opens up the worksheet that I want to work on. So each of these are individual worksheets. So you can either right click and you can say rename, and there's backspace. Let's call this tab 1. Now, it is best practice to keep your worksheet names as one word. Okay? That'll also make it a lot easier when we start working with formulas and the such, and that will be explained at a later stage. But if you really want to, you could always have a space in there. It just creates a little bit of extra work when creating formulas. So either tab 1 like that, or you can say capital letters so it's easy to read, or you can use an underscore, say the one over there, or underscore, and you can type the word out. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Right, but as I said, best practice is to keep it as one. So the underscore, okay, acts as the space between the two, but still keeping it as one word. So let's make that tab one. All right, and then you can do the same with the others. So I can right click and say rename, or I can just double click on the tab's name and I can type in tab underscore 2. Okay, and let's do this one. Let's double click on that one and say, all right, see, let's just delete all of that. Let's call this one tab underscore copy. There we go. And all you have to do is, once you've typed it in, is just click anywhere within the worksheet and it will close off the renaming option over there. Right, so let's move sheet 3 over to the side so long. So now I have tab 1, tab 2, and tab copy that I've renamed. Now, you can go and change the color of your tabs as well if you want to. So click on the tab whose color you want to change. So tab 1 for this worksheet. Right click and say tab color. Let's make this one red. Let's right click on this one. Tab color. Let's make this one yellow. Let's do this one. Let's make it green. Let's go find a green. There, no, that's an ugly green. That. Go find that one, and let's make this one blue, for instance. All right. So there we go. And I got red, yellow, green, blue. I can make them all the same color. So I can have maybe my first few ones the same color. So that's like part of a group over there. Next one's the same color. That's also part of a different group. But that's not grouping the worksheets together. All right, that's just saying that tab 1 and tab 2, the information works together. All righty. You'll also notice that the tab that you've selected, its color will fade slightly underneath. As you can see, the others are all solid colors, and the selected tab's color is faded. All right. Another easy way to see the tab that you're working on is just to look under the tabs, and you'll see a solid green line. All right, so then I know I'm working on that tab. So if my tabs weren't colored, for instance, let's create a new one just over there. So this one has no coloring underneath it, but if I select it, you'll see the green line underneath, and I know that that is my currently active worksheet over there. All right, so that is creating new worksheets, renaming your worksheets, changing the tab colors, creating copies, moving your worksheets around that we've discussed so far. Now, if I have a tab that I no longer need the information for, so I have a bunch of data over here, okay, and I don't need it anymore, I could always just go and delete the information if I want to, but let's say I want to get rid of the entire worksheet because it's no longer required. All I have to do is come to the name, the tab of the worksheet at the bottom, right click and hit delete. Just please pay special attention that when you do hit delete, you cannot get that worksheet back. It is permanently gone. So always double check that the information on that worksheet is not linked to any other worksheet, which we will be discussing just now, later on in a later lesson when we start working with formulas. Otherwise, that is going to cause problems on your other worksheets. And also ensure that there is no vital information within that worksheet that you might need at a later stage. All right. So once you've verified all of that and you decide, okay, I definitely do not need that worksheet, simply go and right click, delete. It's going to say to you, Excel will permanently delete the sheet. Do you want to continue? Delete. And if you have a look at the top over there, there is no undo option. I cannot undo it. It is gone. All right, so just keep that in mind when you are deleting a worksheet. Alrighty, then when you have multiple worksheets open, so I'm just going to quickly go and create a whole bunch of them over here, just so that I can have too many to be able to view comfortably. All right, there we go. That should be enough. So I have multiple worksheets at the bottom over here, and I want to be able to see the middle one or the last one, things like that. How do I get to the other worksheets that I can't see on the side? Well, there's two ways in which you can do it. The first, if you look at your bottom left-hand side, left-hand corner of your Excel workbook, you'll see there's little arrows. Now, because I'm right at the beginning, okay, you won't see the left arrow at the moment, it's grayed out. But I do have a right arrow that is green. If I click on that, it starts moving my sheets across. So I can get to the one that I want to work on. And if I keep clicking, I will eventually get to the end. As you can see, there's no more after that one. And the same for the reverse. And if I hold it down, it'll just keep going until it gets to the beginning. If you have multiple worksheets like this, that it can be time consuming. So what does Excel say to us? Control left click, scroll to the last sheet, or right click to see all the sheets. So let's go with control. I'm pushing down control on my keyboard, left click, and it takes me straight to the end. Control left click, over there, left click, and take me back to the beginning. Alternatively, if I don't want to be at the very end, I can right click and it'll open up a little box for me and it'll ask me which sheet do I want to go to. So I've got up until sheet 27 and I want to work on sheet 17. So I'll select sheet 17, say OK, and as you can see now, sheet 17 is highlighted and that means it's the active worksheet at that moment. All right, and I can go back up here and I can choose where I want to go to. Let's say tab copy, and I can go tab copy over there. So let's go ahead and let's make a copy of tab 1 again, just to show you what will happen if I move it to the end. So I'm going to select tab 1, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to move or copy. I'm going to say that I want it at the end and I want to create a copy. All right, or I can put it in between other sheets if I want to, and then just say okay. And there we go, it has gone and created it at the end. You'll see that my coloring is the same, my tab name is the same, except that it has the 2 on the end there, and all my information inside is identical. Again, I can just move it to wherever I want it to be if I accidentally put it in the wrong place. All right, so let's get rid of that one. Let's delete it, and it is permanently gone. Right, let's go back to the beginning. So I'm holding down the control button, left clicking to get to the beginning. Let's discuss grouping and ungrouping worksheets. Now, why would I want to group or ungroup a worksheet or multiple worksheets? If my worksheets have the same layout and the same type of information inside of them, and I want to go and change one thing on them, say for instance the date, right? Instead of having to go and click on each individual worksheet and go and type the date in, okay, I can simply select one. I can go and I can group my worksheets together, and then I can go and change the information on one sheet and we'll change it on all of them. So how do we do that? Well, if you want to go one by one, you hold down the control key again and you click on the individual sheets at the bottom, the names, the tabs, all right? Or you can always start with your first one that you want to work with, hold down your shift, go to where the last sheet that you want to add into the group, click on that, and now you'll see that the green active line is across all of them. All right, you don't always have to follow that sequence. I could say sheet 5, hold down my control button, sheet 7, sheet 10, sheet 12. So now only those 4 sheets are grouped together, as you can tell by the green lines underneath. Okay, but for the purpose of this exercise, let's go from group 5 sheet 5 all the way to sheet 10. Okay. This can also be very handy if you are creating a sheet. That's, let's say, for instance, you're creating a timesheet. So instead of having to go and recreate it 30 more times after your first sheet, you can create all 31 sheets, group them all together, and then you can go and design your timesheet on the first one, and that will automatically be designed on the others. Righty. But before we do that, just want a quick little thing over here. If I wanted to group all my sheets together, okay, I could always go right click, select all sheets if I wanted to over there. If I want to unselect them, right click, ungroup sheets. So again, I'm just going to go from worksheet 5 to sheet 10, and let's start designing on worksheet 5. Right, so I'm going to put in the date, okay, or let's call it month, and I can't spell month, okay, and we're going to have year, okay, and we can say date and time in, time out, total hours. Right. Something quite easy, simple. Okay. We're not going to go too fancy right now. Let's say this is for January and the year is 2026. Right. And let's put in a couple of dates here. 101. And let's fill this up a little bit. Let's just go until the 10th. All right. So there we go. Now I've created my timesheet. I know this is a very basic one, but let's see at the others. So if I go to worksheet 6, you can just it's highlighted. Worksheet 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so all look identical. Let's ungroup them. Okay, and now if I click on them and they're not grouped, you can see that they are identical. If I want to make a change to, say, sheets 5 to 10, so let's go and select 5, holding down my shift key. I'm going to click on 10 to select all of them. I need to change my month. So January's finished. I'm going to go to February. There we are. So I forgot how to spell for a second there. Right, let's change our date. That's the 1st of Feb. And let's autofill this quickly to the 10th of Feb. And let's ungroup them. You can use the ungroup over there, or you could simply click on another tab that is not part of the grouping, and it'll automatically ungroup everything for you. So let's have a look at 5 again. So if I click on A1, now it's in A1 in sheet 5. I've got February over there and my dates. Sheet 6, it's still highlighted there. It didn't move to A5 because the grouping is gone now. But I did change it to February and I changed my dates. Same for sheet 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is why you would make use of grouping for similar layout sheets or identical layout sheets, that you need to make one change to all of them, and this is just to save you some time over there. Alrighty, let's see if there's anything that I have missed over here. Creating worksheets, switching, grouping, ungrouping. Alrighty. Right, let's have a look at the find and replace. I think I will do that in the next video. But thank you for spending some time with me. And yeah, best of luck with your Excel.